Thank you. All right, thank you. The time is 6:34. I'd like to call this regular Board of Education meeting to order. At this time, the first item on our agenda this evening is the roll call of those Board of Education members who are present. Vice President Lee, could you please perform the roll call for those Board of Education members who are present?
Sure, Madam President. Trustee Fields? Here. Trustee Schindler?
Here.
Trustee Townsend?
Here.
Vice President Lee? I'm here. President Hawkins?
Here.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Trustee Gainsler here.
All right, thank you. We have 6 Board of Education members present and 1 who is absent this evening. Next, that will take us to the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I would like to invite the public and members of the district to join us in reciting of the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, that takes us to achievements, awards, and recognition. And at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Zachary Ross to introduce this portion of our meeting.
Thank you, Madam President. This is one of the favorite portions of the meetings where we are able to hear about some fantastic things that are happening in our schools. And we have with us a wonderful school, one of our other bright stars, Ypsilanti Community Connected School. And some of the staff members I see are all here as well, along with their Principal Ingraham, and they will come to share their points of pride. And so thank you for being here today. Good evening, I'm Kier Ingraham, principal of Ypsi Connected Community School. Ypsi Connected Community School, also known as YC Squared, presents a distinctive online learning setting. YC Squared facilitates a learning atmosphere where every student, including those facing challenges in traditional in-person settings, can create and engage in their most comfortable and consequently productive learning environment.
Hi, I'm Ricky Smith. I am the technology coordinator as well as 2nd through 5th grade math teacher. YC Squared staff takes a leadership role in adopting and experimenting with the latest methods and tools to create engaging learning environments. They actively embrace the AI trend to identify the best practices for the classroom instruction. With a strong presence at the McCall Conference annually and representation at various professional learning opportunities, our staff is deeply committed to continuous learning and professional development. We have a genuine passion for expanding our knowledge in order to expand our students.
Hello, my name is Adina Hanrahan, and I am the 2nd through 5th grade science teacher. And YC Squared has implemented a revised instructional approach for 2nd through 5th grades known as platoon teaching. This method involves subject experts teaching specific core subjects as opposed to a single teacher handling all subjects. Each teacher specializes in a core subject and instructs across different grade levels. This shift has garnered praise from parents, students, and staff who eagerly anticipate the positive long-term effects of this innovative learning environment.
YC Squared supports district-wide events, including an annual Makers Fair held in March, the Exotic Zoo, a video gaming truck experience, and a virtual assembly on music technology. During the virtual assembly, student voices were transformed into the music of an original composition, adding a unique and creative element to the event.
Hello, I'm Melody Moon. I'm the Title I teacher for IPSE Connected. YC Squared offers a range of diverse learning opportunities encompassing specialized courses in Spanish, physical education, art, STEM, algebra, digital citizenship, performing arts, Black history, and financial literacy. Additionally, YC Squared organizes field trips for students, taking them to places like the library, orchard, and puppet shows. The commitment to providing a well-rounded education is a fundamental aspect of YC Squared's educational approach.
At YC Squared, we are working to support our community in providing innovative solutions to unique problems in the district. Our Dragonfly Club pilot is one of those solutions. We are providing an opportunity to engage students with close mentoring and guidance in person to help them gain the tools and skills to be successful in a more traditional learning environment. We are supporting 3rd through 8th grade students in this program.
Good evening, I'm Gail Sykes. I'm the kindergarten online teacher. 27 year here, started in Willow Run, transitioned to IPSE, and then transitioned to online after COVID. So YC Squared is dedicated. Staff collaborates seamlessly to support our community. We are committed to facilitating optimal growth and academic success for every student. Our team adaptly tackles whatever it takes, is what we say, challenges and situations, transforms them into opportunities for productivity. Staff are empowered to take initiative and offer assistance to the fullest extent. Together we form a cohesive unit that is Ypsilanti Connected Schools. And I do want to add, so when COVID ended, I was making the decision to either go back to Perry or stay online. And I'll tell you what helped me make that choice. You might get tears. One of my 32 moms that year had stage 4 cancer. And I thought I wouldn't be able to have the connections that I have with my families in person. But I will tell you, our staff, the connections we have with our families were in their home. Their home is our class. So outside of academics, curriculum, we offer our unique families and kids support beyond what the curriculum is. And I just wanted you guys to know it's well beyond what you see on paper of our program. So I hope we'll continue to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ypsilanti Connected Community School, for all the wonderful things that are happening and all the great work you're doing on behalf of students and families and in our community. Thank you so much. Let's please give them another round of applause. Before we move to our next item, board members, were there any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Trustee Fields. The green, yeah.
And just as I'm looking over this, and it could be just all encompassing, but I see a kindergarten, I see 2nd through 5th, I see the 3rd through 8th. Where's 1st grade? Are we doing anything? Just might be an oversight, but I'm just curious. Is any 1st grade like in here anywhere? I mean, I'm just, cause you're noting a lot of things and just might be an oversight on my part, but I'm just wondering, what are we?
So anything that we do, all schools K-8.
Yeah, it's great, but
Yeah.
everything was kind of highlighted. I was just curious as I was going through this. I just didn't see it, so I would just answer. Okay. Okay, thank
We
you. I
couldn't
just.
put everything in there.
Well, no, but you highlighted so many things and I'm just curious as I'm reading, helping you out. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
okay, where's my first graders at? I
Oh,
just
they're
wanted to
there.
know. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, that was just my.
Thank you. Any other board questions?
I didn't have a question,
Yeah.
Madam President, but I did want to say I have had the opportunity to go to their graduations and a couple of other things, and they have a very strong parent turnout, which is very awesome to see for it to be online. So a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about what online learning is, but I do want to applaud. They have a fabulous staff. I see them in the stores. They know me, I know them. And they do an excellent job, especially with the relationships, because online can be hard. I'm not a good online person. Tried that, did that in college. It was tough, but they do an excellent job. And I just want to say thank you all for all that you do. Thank you.
Other board comments? Yes. Trustee Gayton.
This is also more of a shout out, but I'll throw it in there. You mentioned the presence at the McCall conference, the Michigan Association of Computer Users and Learning, and I had the honor of attending that conference last year. I was sad just today. I realized I wasn't going to be able to go this year, and I'm upset because it is the best conference. And YCS shows up for that conference. It's amazing. I mean, there are 3,000 people at the convention center in Detroit, and our team was absolutely leading the way. They were, I think I saw Kier for 2 seconds and she's like, I gotta go to run in the next session. So just the amount that our teachers are not only leading the way in technology and online learning, but also leading the state and demonstrating to other educators across the state how we do it here in IPSI. So well done.
Other board comments? Just thank you again for all that you're doing. I know that everyone in this community and beyond knows how difficult it was when COVID hit and we all had to transition. And the fact that you are still doing online learning and you're doing it so well is a testament to you, your families, the students you serve, and the great staff that you brought here today. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. And I just like to say we very much appreciate the support of our leadership and the board, the community, of course, but we are doing something very different.
Yes.
And we really appreciate having that ability to do that and then also support the district in different ways.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, next that takes us to Board Appreciation Month, and I'll leave it in the hands of Dr. Zachary Ross yet again.
Thank you, Madam President. As Principal Ingraham just said, no, we can't do any of this work without the support of each and every one of you here around this table. And this is the month that the state has to recognize Board Appreciation Month. And sometimes we ask you to come in at 5:30 or we say it might storm, as well as the strain on the culinary. So please, no, we didn't ask you to come in early, but we still we have recognition for you. And I have the resolution, but we also have something else special to read. So the resolution reads, Ypsilanti Community Schools joins 529 local and 56 intermediate school districts across Michigan to celebrate January as School Board Recognition Month. Whereas school board members represent their fellow citizens' views and priorities in the complexity of maintaining and running the community's public schools. They reinforce the principle of local control over public education, which is an important, highly valued aspect of education in Michigan. And the month of January marks the observance of School Board Recognition Month. This is an opportunity to show our appreciation for these leaders and begin to better understand how local trustees work together to prepare today's students to be tomorrow's leaders. And 3, the key to a brighter future in Michigan for Michigan's children is a strong public education system. Every day, students count on public schools to help prepare them for a successful future. Students count on adults across the state to ensure they have access to resources to help them learn, keep their buildings safe, and have qualified teachers to guide them. It takes a commitment to a community to make this possible. At the end of the day, contributing to the success of our students are ordinary citizens with extraordinary dedication to public schools, our school board members. And the job of a school board member is to establish a vision for the education program, design a structure to achieve that vision, ensure schools are accountable to the community, and advocate for continuous improvement in student learning. This is a time to remember school board members for their untiring efforts. And I can tell you even this morning at 7:30, these board members were either in person or on Zoom at the WISD, and it is now almost 12 hours later. And they are still here. And so we hear and see, as Trustee Townsend said, you can see her in the community. You see all of our board members here, dedicated, and not just here now. We have school board members that have been on the board since the consolidation and have been dedicated and continuous. You know their faces, you know their commitment, and it's unwavering. And so we encourage you to join Ypsilanti Community Schools with others throughout our community, state, and nation to salute. And we can say, and yes, there are men and women at the WASB board, but these women leaders who provide grassroots governance of public schools. Even though there is a special effort during January to show appreciation for our school board members, we recognize their contributions are a year-round effort. Celebrating School Board Recognition Month is one way to say thanks for all school board members do. And so we know we have Dr. Celeste Hawkins as our board president, Sharon Lee is our board vice president, Maria Goodrich, who is unable to make it today, is our board secretary, Trustee Jillian Gainsley is our treasurer, dedicated Yvonne Fields, another trustee here, Trustee Meredith Schindler, all these dedicated folks, and Trustee Janice Townsend. We are so fortunate to have you. And so as the team comes, I'll ask that you pull out to bring your gifts, the paper that's in, or you might not want to unwrap it. I'll read to you what's in there. You can, and there's a gift there. And this one is more, we read to you what those others say, but we were hoping to give you. You can unwrap it. We wanted to give you something that just came from our teams. You'll recognize these words because you hear them in the board meetings and you hear them throughout the district. Okay. So when you go present, these board members have presented at the National Cube Conference this year, as well as the State Michigan Association School Board Conference. Oh, they don't have it. Oh, yes, you do. And it reads, Ypsilanti Community School Board of Education. To our esteemed school board, we praise, now let me warn you first, it is not a Christmas carol that people were laughing at us, but it was around that time. We just wanted to have fun. To our esteemed school board, we raise a grateful cheer for your unwavering commitment that's crystal clear. With hearts aglow, we thank you for your devotion and for your tireless efforts in our district's promotion. With passion and purpose, you've embraced the call to champion education for one and all. Through countless sacrifices, you've paved the way for a brighter future with knowledge to sway. Unapologetically, you tackle equity's task, standing tall, no question too bold to ask. You see, you hear, and value each student's voice. creating a climate where we can all rejoice. In every decision, you strive to do what's right, guided by love, compassion, shining so bright. You've welcomed diversity with open arms, creating a safe haven free from all harms. From classrooms to hallways, your vision is profound, embracing differences, ensuring a level ground. In your eyes, every student is worthy and dear. With respect and admiration, you hold them near. So here's to our school board, the heart of our team. Your unwavering dedication is truly a gleam. We're grateful for all the legacies you're leaving behind, for shaping minds with care in the utmost noble kind. May your tireless efforts and unwavering love continue to guide us as we rise above. With deep gratitude, we offer this ode to our remarkable school board on this humble role. So know that we are indeed stronger together because each of you are change makers, barrier breakers, and history makers.
I got a pen, Nick.
Those are all your words, board members, and we thank you so much for your support, for your dedication, commitment to the students, staff, and community. We are truly grateful to have each one of you serve. You bring a unique perspective, and we weren't joking. The questions, we appreciate them because that's how we know this is board governance. And we appreciate the fact that you keep us focused on that main thing, and that's our students. And we appreciate your service because people think it's a paid, wonderful job like when you're in LA. And it's unpaid. It is
Okay.
It is unpaid. It is just you giving your service, and you'll be rewarded one day for the work that you do. Hopefully by the smiles, and when they graduate and walk across the stage, you can see the reward.
Well, thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross, and thank you to your entire staff, all the staff, the community. I think I probably speak for the whole board, but we'll let the board members, share their own remarks. That it's a humbling opportunity and experience to be able to be trusted by the community to serve this community, this district. And that is really the reward. People ask me all the time, I say it's $0,000 a year. That is how much we get paid. But we do it and we serve in a way that knows that the outcome and the stakes are high for our young people, and the fact that we get to sit in these seats is a privilege. And so we just thank the community for allowing us to continue to do this work and continue to move the work of the district forward and the kids that we serve each and every day and their families. I'm sitting here because I'm laughing. I know the other board members who presented at the conference. When we were presenting at the CUBE conference, that was our coin statement at the at the conference. And, so that is who we are. And I think we have always been unapologetic in our approach. And I think that is why we are able to achieve some of the results that we're achieving as a school board, because we do the right thing at the right time and we do it with the right people. So thank you for your support always, for allowing us to do this great work. And I can't imagine serving on any school board in this country other than Ypsilanti Community Schools. So I will let the rest of the board chime in, and then I'll open my little gift. Thank you so much. It looks like it's swag, so I love some good swag. Thank you. Or do you have any comments to make?
I just echo everything that Dr. Hawkins said. It is not by design that I think it was destined for us to be here at this time, and for the things that are going on. I'm very appreciative to sit in this seat. It is not an easy seat. We attend more than 12 meetings a year. It's like 4 or 5 times that much. And that doesn't include the text messages, the calls, any other activities, but it is very humbling to see our students when they graduate, even from our youngest scholars on up to our high schoolers, even beyond when they graduate, to see them graduate from college. I love to hear stories from our teachers who have been here when it was Willow Run and when it was Ypsilanti Public Schools. 27 years is a lot, and I'm very appreciative for your service here. So thank you to everybody. I have a YCS closet. So my next thing is to get my gold high tops. I have them on order. But I'm just very appreciative of everybody that makes up our family here at YCS. And please understand, your board do not play when it comes to YCS. We may seem quiet at times, but trust and understand it is a force behind this board that is like none other. And people are watching, so we make sure that we represent you well because you have entrusted us to be in these seats. And that is something that we are very true to. So thank you.
I just want to say it's an honor to serve on this board and with all these women and our incredible leadership and your incredible team. I'm overjoyed. It's really exciting to see what's happening for the kids.
I just want to say that I am thankful that the community, the district trusts me to take care of their babies, their tweens, their young adults, because they're my babies too. And I love them, and I'm proud of them, especially when they walk across that stage with that great big smile on their face and waiting to go into the future, like what's next, you know, even if they don't go to a 4-year college and if they go into a trade, that's them. That's what, and we allow them to be them, you know, so just thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. And just thank you, you know.
I too want to say, ditto everything all the trustees have said. I do get the question you asked too, but that you mentioned when the people say, well, how much you get paid to do that? I'm like, but there's no dollar value for this for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I came to it for the kids. I love the kids. We love to see the smiles on their faces and stuff like that. And sometimes you can't put a dollar value on that. That means you're truly doing it from the heart. You're not doing it for what you get paid for to do that. It's what you're giving back to the kids at the end of the day. So thank you, community. Thank you, our staff and everyone, and for everything that you do and that you guys trusted us to be.
I just want to say I'm so proud to be part of this district every day, and proud of our students, our educators, our staff, and I'm so proud of what this district has accomplished. And you know, it's fitting that Dr. Zachary Ross is going to be sharing the retrospective of the last 5 years. I think she and I started right around the same time, and so it's truly amazing what this team has done.
Thank you, trustees. Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Madam President. Each year at the organizational meeting, we read the mission statement from the board, and I'll read it today. YCS mission statement. The purpose of Ypsilanti Community Schools is to develop mindful, engaged students with the skill set, work ethic, and attitude to contribute to a community that honors diversity, equity, and justice. I think you can see that happening here with the presentation today with Ypsi Connected, as well as the work that you all do every day. That the force you talk about behind it, advocating for the district. The presentation.
Mhm.
Thank you. Now, at this time, we know that this is 10 years into the consolidation, and we have been celebrating all year, thinking about, reflecting on the fact that 10 years ago, and some of you in the room were here 10 years ago, it was the decision to bring together Willow Run Community Schools with Ypsilanti Public Schools, and people wondered about that question. And so, although it's not a PowerPoint, I wanted to just highlight some parts of this 5-year retrospective. And you'll see that it does say the superintendent's report to the Board of Education, because we think until the end of the year, we're gonna just finalize it and put it in a form, because people kept saying, I forgot about this, or I forgot about that. But we knew at the beginning of the year until January, we were going to do some looking back. And from January to the end of the year, we're going to be helping people to look forward to what they can look forward to for 24, 25, because we have some exciting things to come. And so this 5-year retrospective has been compiled by members of the administration team, members of the staff who were here, because I wasn't here then, to be able to share some of that background. It's in the meeting notes, as well as it'll be available, like I said, at the end of the year. And so we think about, when we started it off, if you go down to that survey, if you can remember, there was the stakeholder feedback survey that was taken. And so when I came, we brought together and said, let's look at this. Now, the colors in red, I want to tell you, that was what it looked like. They say to bring people back to the data the way that it was. And there was these colors. There was these colors that were brought back with these additional, these ideas. And so we brought all of the information to a work group that was brought to the Board of Education from all of the work teams, because I see some shaking heads. You remember the work teams. And you know why I'm bringing that up is because people think that their voices didn't matter then. And so when we asked about it and we brought that up and we're bringing it up now, we want people to know we've been looking. The things that we're doing, we didn't sit in the corner and hash up these ideas and say, board, let's get together. And the board didn't either. And when I came, we came and brought these back up again. And the question then was, 10 years from now, how about that? 10 years from now, taking into account technology, economic, educational, and political trends, what do you envision for YCS? Now, exactly 10 years later, we can say that we've addressed over 90%. On this, we've addressed over 90% of the innovative, feasible, and not yet feasible ideas. 90%. So your voices, if you participated in those work groups, your board, this Board of Ed, who we recognize tonight, listened and followed through. These people say, oh my goodness, in spite of, let me tell you, a pandemic. And so we put that data there in those boxes. We called them the WOW or red ideas, were the innovative, potential breakthroughs, exciting ideas. What makes us a distinction? What can be implemented? The now were the blue ones. They were easily implemented, previous examples of high acceptability and no risk, and then the how, future ideas, dreams, and categories. And so some highlights were adopting a robust curriculum, utilizing one logo, and that sounds small, but when there was the 2 districts, that's something else, with each building possessing its own logo. Plans to develop vacant properties. And at that time, we didn't even have 2, but 2 of the buildings got demolished that were causing problems in the community. Preschool has increased annually. We had the Schneider Electric contract timeline that was established. That was a hope, but now even that debt is gone, not from the debt that we're going to hear about, which we still haven't gotten yet, We're gonna get that there, though it's signed. But that was taken care of by this board. We use district-wide calendar that was developed by a calendar team, not central office. The sinking fund millage was passed. People talked about that wasn't gonna happen. And it's passed and been implemented, and we see things happening in the classroom because part of it was to demolish vacant school buildings, fix school roofs, resurface parking lots, upgrade technologies, and address other infrastructure. I want to remind people that's what it was for, and that's what it's being used for. A protocol for special education referrals and eligibility has been established. Athletic teams have flourished, are in front runners now in our conference, as we heard at the last month's board meeting. ACE has been operating that small learning environment for high school students, and the graduation rate continues to grow. Our staff has participated in trauma-informed training from Star Commonwealth and others, mental health first aid and others. They also have done work, including led by the board. The board has done work with Dr. Yolanda Seeley Ruiz and Goldie Muhammad. We have building leaders and instructional coaches in every building. Do you remember they were sharing buildings? We did not have them in every building. There was nothing called a climate and culture coach at all. So that has happened. With the Magna Grant Award, we're going to be able to have the International Baccalaureate Program will be established at YCMS and YCHS. We've got new community partners. The Human Resource Department has a process to collect exit interviews and analyze criteria, and the feedback is reviewed by the district talent management community. Stakeholder survey data is collected annually. District compassionate restorative circles are happening. The transportation department is now managed by YCS. There's a hands-on learning. We're seeing hands-on learning. Even if you go to IPSI Connected at the beginning of the school year, they give them a toolkit to go home so that they can have the things that you would have had at home, at school, at home. It's hands-on and opportunities to learn even during the school day. And even the catering decisions completed. So there's some work, and then you'll see on the next one that there were some highlights. I'm not taking you through this because that's the part I'm doing, and they're gonna only give one per department. But remember, just going through WISE accreditation happened, professional development, affordable health care it was given, the new curriculum, the one-to-one technology, the resiliency center, the safety manual and emergency operations plan. IPSI Connected is there. The joint meetings with city council, the board retreats. How about that? Board retreats. The SEEK grant, well, you'll hear maybe some of those. Some of the grants we've gotten, National Board Certification, Rising Leaders, the 3-year contract. Thank you, Ms. Tillerson. Appreciate you and your team. The Parent to Teacher program, 19 people from our county graduated from that program, and we were on the leadership of making that happen. The MICAT process and the K-12 World Language Program, where our students are graduating with the seal of biliteracy. On and on, the D3C3, our work with Toyota, our Cognia. How can I not talk about our Cognia systems of distinction? And you see those signs now after the break. Each building recognize this international distinction. And so I just invite you to look at some of the beginning parts of the report. It goes into thinking about what the district did as a result of the global pandemic. That was huge. And this district pivoted. It was a challenging time for everyone. There was no playbook on what to do. And because everybody was stronger together, the families, the teachers, the cooks, everyone joined. It was called all hands on deck, and people did come in. And so we thank them. And so Dr. Lopez will give one highlight, because we know we're into our highlight for the areas of performance management, instructional infrastructure,
Ready?
and student support network. all together.
Well, just to summarize and looking at the journey, one of the things that we do in this, and I'm so glad when you mentioned first graders, right? And because we do a good job with early childhood and getting the students. And if I only have to say something, I really want to highlight how we exit students out of this district. And I'm so glad that Trustee Townsend and also Sharon Lee, Vice President Lee, both mentioned of the joy of graduation and to see our young people graduating. And so it's not only how they enter, but what we do so to prepare them for the real world of tomorrow. And so Alina said only one thing, so I wanted to focus on graduation because I think that really is the game changer. So when we look at graduation rate, and the state of Michigan, for the year 21-22, because the 22-23 has not been released yet. But when we're looking at our last 21-22 graduation rate, when we look at the state, was 81.11. And AC Tech was 84, not AC Tech was 84.33, so it was higher than the state. As well as the graduation rate for STEM was 98.23. So I want to talk about that because I think it's important to celebrate that. I also want to talk a little bit about the work that's been done by the staff at ACE. ACE, the year before the last, was identified as a CSI school because their graduation rate was at 46. The minute that happened, the team mobilized, they already went into 47.79. This last year, 22-23, which we don't have the data, this is the year where we had Mr. Davis and we graduated all these students. I know that when we get the scores, that graduation rate is going to be out the walls here. So I would say to you, and it can be done, and Ms. Tillison is here, but this can't be done without the staff. When you walk into that school, and you see the personalization, the relationship, the support, the love, because I think I know Alina makes fun of me with that one, but I think that genuine love of students is so crucial in relationship to seeing them. And I think the common purpose of every human being is to be heard and seen. And I think it's important. And when you walk and see our students, the morning, when you walk in there in the hot cocoa in the morning, walk in from the cold and whatever, that personalization matters. Do you follow me? And I'll say to you, and it matters when you see the graduation rate increasing at that level. And I'm not devaluing what we do here at the high school. We do amazing work everywhere. But I would just want to say that I want you to know that we're sending off students very, very prepared what we got coming with Toyota, with D3C3, and all the program and all the initiative with AI and everything else. Boy, I'm excited to see the next 10 years. So.
Thank you. And he did, as Ms. McCarty comes for talent management, although he wasn't able to go into everything, just know there's opportunity to look into the report, dive deeper. Dr. Lopez wants to add lots of other things, and we said you can add them for right now. Let's just start so that we can introduce people and let them see the structure of this. And then there might be other things that you say, hey, can you add that, or can you give us information? Because we wanted it to be where it's chewable, that people would want to take a look at it. Ms. McCarty.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Zachary Ross. There's so many things in human resources that I would like to say because we have worked really, really hard. But there's one thing that just permeates like all of the years. And this is a shout out to this lady behind me and as well as my support union, the rapport. It's the rapport with the unions that has allowed us to do all the things that you see on that list, and it continues. We don't always agree. It's not always, oh yes, let's do that, Sue. No, I think they should do that. I've asked them to do that multiple times. but it's just that rapport and that just spirit of cooperation that both the unions bring to the table and work with me and the team. And I value that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCarty. This time we have finance, and I know we also have Dr. Cascarella.
Good evening, Madam Superintendent, Madam President, Board Trustees. Our highlight for finance is just an ode and respect to my predecessor for the use and management of our ESSER funds. We had a lot of things happening, and we were able to manage and get things done throughout the district and stay on track to make sure we're using the funds as we need to and to continue working towards the good of the district.
Thank you. And part of those funds also came from additional grants that are on top of the ESSER funds. Dr. Coscarella.
Good evening, everyone. I'd love to be able to talk about Grizzly Learning Camp. It's very near and dear, passionate of mine, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the LEAP grant. Our LEAP grant, it's not the biggest grant, funding wise, but it's near and dear to me because we get to give books away to kids that they get to keep. And we do that several times a year. And as a reluctant reader myself early on and having a hard time learning how to read, going to chapter 1, not title 1, chapter 1, when it was called chapter 1 support. It's a huge passion of mine, and making sure that every child knows the joy of reading, and there's nothing better than having a brand new book to call your very own, to write your name in that cover. We'll take it home and share it with your family. So the LEAP grant is really special and important. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rose could not be here yet. I know he spends a lot of time on the sinking fund, and we want to again thank the community. That was huge. 10-year sinking fund, $3.9 million a year for 10 years. And you will see each year what has happened between identifying those buildings with the critical HVAC needs. I think that goes underrated sometimes, but when we came back in from dealing with the COVID, being at home and coming back, we could say undeniably, oh no, we got a brand new the HVAC. We had a whole system looked through that whole piece. We know there was originally $39.8 million need because the work just hadn't been done. And so we know the sinking fund assisted us in being able to be ahead of the game in that area when other people really scrambled with the HVAC. That was huge, as well as demolishing the 2 buildings. Right now that pool is open and our students are swimming in the pool at the high school. And so there are some specific things that we're just really excited about, and that's just one of them. I want to thank also, the last part is just that before we go to those last steps, the culture, people coming back to the back to school bash. If you could think about this past summer, it was so many people at the back to school bash and the jazz in the parking lot, all of the events that our families come to. And we know that there were many others that continue to happen. We just, again, those interactions with the community is truly stronger together. When you say that swag, you see people wearing it, you see people excited about it. We had the student section at the football game starting again this year. And so we could not do any of that without our community involved. So there's a lot of looking ahead. And so if we just go to that last page of looking ahead, we're excited to look ahead, and that's where you're going to hear us talk a lot about in the next year as we move forward. We were happy in December when the governor signed, because everybody kept asking, as soon as the legislators sign the line, okay, what about that? We're like, we don't know. We won't know any impact until we meet with Treasury, until we meet with our bond people. And even at today's legislative breakfast, I got up and said, we are going to thank the community. We're going to thank each one of you. We just want to give accurate data. We want to know what specifically is going to be used for, how are they going to pay it? When are they going to pay it? And so we're excited. We're not taking that away. We know that everybody lots of folks took charge to push forward. We're meeting with Treasury just to hear about, what the process is going to be, so that we can even work with our bond folks to say, okay, now here it is. What will be that financial impact if they give us this on these dates? And then we'll work forward to celebrate first and say thank you, to be able to give a report once we have accurate information, and to make some thoughts about where we can move forward afterwards. We were able to be awarded the Magnet grant of $15 million. And so what is that going to look like for IB over at the middle school building, and have STEM and STEAM happening at Ford and Holmes, and looking at roadmaps, hearing about what's going to go on at the with our Mac computer labs. What are we doing with some of our new infrastructure and our phone units? To be able to just have access to some things that people just couldn't think about, the fact 10 years ago we would not have. And so giving you reports on that, having your feedback on that is what we look forward to the end of this year, and then more plans for 24, 25 as we're coming together and getting all the details. This is an exciting time. 10 years later, as we looked back on the start of where we will be, we're going to be able to ask that question. Where will YCS be in 10 more years? I'm excited. Another board, I don't know if there's, we just wanted to make sure to share.
Well, I mean, that
will be
was-
added to this.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross, and to your team. This, when you look at a report like this, you kind of, know that the work is happening and years go by, but to kind of pause and just look at the accomplishments and the work, it's because of everyone here that made this happen. And it's a great day, a great year, a great decade to be a Grizzly. Thank you so much. Board, what comments do you have? Any questions, any feedback?
Feedback. I just want to say thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. Thank you to her team. Thank you to the board.
Yeah.
This is magnificent. I am so happy to be part of this team. And I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, we've got a great whole community here. So that's why I'm so glad there's so many staff here to just remember.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize we did all of this. I did not realize we did all of this.
Yeah.
And more.
And
We
more.
just highlighted.
Yeah. Definitely. I love the history here. I love the documentation of it and the capturing of all we've done. And then the last page, looking ahead. It's like, whoo,
I know.
wow. I'm very proud to be in this community, to live in this community, proud to serve in this district. Very proud. So thank you again, Dr. Zachary Ross, to your team, to the entire district, the community, families. I just want to clap. Thank you. All right, on that high note, we will now move ahead to the acceptance of our agenda. And at this time, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Support trustee Schindler.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to public comments for this evening. Ms. Haynes, are there public comment cards? Thank you so much. Before we call members of the public up to address the board, I'd like to read the public comment protocol, which reads as follows. Pursuant to Board of Education Policy 0167.3, the board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express their views. Please limit statements to 3 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. No person may address or question board members individually, and all remarks shall be made in a respectful and professional manner. Perry Stone Palmquist.
Hi, everyone.
Can you hear me?
We can-
Hi, I know most of you. I'm Perry Stone Pompous. I'm the Executive Director of the Student Advocacy Center. I live about a mile that way. What a cool meeting for me to pick to come because I was one of those community members who spent many, many hours in the evening visioning what the consolidated district would be. So feel the pride with all of you. Was here before, was here during, and have been here since. There's a lot to be said about the commitment of the folks here, the folks that have decided to stay on and really dig in their heels in IPSI. Hopefully we can keep you to stay around, but so thank you. And also just thanks to the board because it's a lot of work what you do. So thanks all around. But the reason we wanted to speak tonight is to share some concerns, not trying to bring down the mood. So we do have a lot to be proud of. And I think one thing I've always appreciated about the district is that you're always trying to do better. Unfortunately, in our role at Student Advocacy Center, we hear from the families that are really struggling in YCS and other districts around the state. So what we've been hearing recently is around special education concerns. And I know that that's complicated for a lot of reasons. I think there's understaffing and positions haven't been filled and things like that. So we're hearing young people not getting the services that are they should be getting according to their IEPs. I have other staff who hopefully can give you more details, but the ask tonight is to really for the board to highlight and prioritize that. We have a moment in time. I was one of many, many who fought hard for the debt relief to happen. I can tell you there's legislators who did not understand, and we spent a lot of time meeting with them so that they would understand. I'm out there all the time working to get more money. And of course, because I live in this district, I'm always thinking about YCS and how we can get more money for the school district. But what we need is to make sure we're taking care of all young people, right? We need to make sure that the kids who have disabilities are getting the support services that they need. And so I guess I would just ask that the board really prioritize putting aside maybe some of that debt relief money as you're doing the budgeting for next year, I don't know what all the answers are. Maybe we can get a group to sort of talk about that, but increasing salaries, of course, and hiring more staff to support folks with disabilities specifically. It's a real concern. So that's what I wanted to talk with you about, not trying to bring down the mood, but trying to be realistic about some of the challenges that are happening. And I'll say I've been doing this work for a long time. I've been at SAC for almost 12 years. And this year is probably the most stories I'm hearing about violations of IEPs not being implemented the way they should. So that doesn't feel good. As someone who's really proud of so many of the things that are happening in this district, we got some work to do on that piece of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry Stone Palmquist. Next, we have Ben Murphy-Smith.
Good evening. I think this is my first time ever giving public comment, and I've definitely been at a lot of board meetings. It's really fun to hear that report, having worked at central office a number of years ago, to getting to hear what's progressed since I was working here and sort of some of the things that concluded when I left the central office. So that was a fun report. And unlike Perry, I'm used to being a mood killer, having been a middle school teacher. So I will just jump right into it. I'm coming tonight more as a community supporter than in my traditional advocacy role. But obviously echoing what Perry started to talk about. So I've worked both at YCS as a staff member, and then over the last 6 years I worked with Student Advocacy Center, working often with YCS students. During my various jobs at YCS and at my role in the Student Advocacy Center, I've become aware of the difficulties of properly staffing teacher roles across the state, at YCS, across the community, and also that it's particularly challenging in special education. When I worked here as the grant coordinator, that wasn't something that I dealt with. It wasn't something I really understood. Now I go to IEP meetings every day, and I work with a lot of students who special education is a really important piece of their education. As an advocate, I cannot count the different instances where a student I'm working with is had a missing member of their IEP team. Often they're essential members ranging from teachers, social workers, occupational therapists, and pretty much any role that you can imagine. Was that my limit?
That's what I'm looking at, Sally, to help.
I'm a rambler, so I must ask. I've also seen IEP plans frequently thrown off from year to year or semester to semester when an important member of the team left. And I know as an adult, I've come to understand that people leave schools, they go for better positions, and I'm never angry at someone for wanting to better their situation. But I know our students don't quite understand that, and even though they're used to it, it's still so hard to recover from. And many of the students I work with are students who've experienced trauma, and those students struggle so much to form relationships. So it's difficult when the staff might not be there immediately or might leave, but then they really struggle, many of my children, when the staff leaves. And that's happened so often. I can say that, like, I know this is no one's fault because I work with wonderful people across the district who are really trying. Think about particularly, I'm not going to name staff, but there's staff at Ipsy Middle School who do so many amazing things that are not part of their job description because they've been lacking special education staff for years. And while I couldn't appreciate what they do more, it's still, we're not able to meet the needs of our students in those situations. Because you can't do a job, you know, if you're an administrator, you can't be the speech pathologist and the occupational therapist. Like, these are issues that, you know, you need the personnel to provide. And that's just been the biggest thing that I see is it's so hard to find those people. So like Perry said, I don't have solutions. I know that obviously people always want to be paid more. So that's the one thing I know, but I want to reiterate that it's something that we at SAC are happy to brainstorm with folks about, but any way we can contribute. We're just hoping that this is a big thing that you guys are considering. And I know you are for your first post debt relief budget whenever you have more information on that, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben Murphy-Smith. Next, we have Layla Muhammad.
That was fast. I just put in the green card. Thank you.
Mhm.
My name is Layla Mohammed. I'm a physician pediatrician who works at the Ypsilanti Health Center. And thank you so much for this wonderful presentation because I learned a lot today about what is happening at the Ypsilanti schools. I also wanted to share with you, I've been here for about 24 years now, working and taking care of kids. The last couple of years, it's just been brought to a point where we're seeing more and more kids asking for, interestingly enough, special needs in their schools through the clinic, through the Ypsilanti Health Center. So I just wanted to share and bring to the attention of the board that I think the kids who are in need of special needs at this point of time are kind of spilling out of the Ypsilanti schools and looking for services elsewhere. And we're trying as much as possible to help. And we are so happy to collaborate if that's something that is in the works for the future for the Ypsilanti schools. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Layla Muhammad. And last but not least, we have Charlotte Tillerson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here on behalf of Ypsilanti Community Education Association, the union. If you're in the union, you can either stand and represent or you can wave your hand. We are here tonight. And those are that are not here, they're online. I know they're online, so I thank you and appreciate you. So good evening, school board members, Superintendent Zachary Ross, other Ypsilanti community leaders, community. It's that time of year again. January is Superintendent Month, Appreciation Month. And so on behalf of YCEA, we appreciate your leadership, your support, and love for YCS schools, students, families, staff, and community. Thank you. We know it's sometimes not an easy seat to sit in. I know it's easy to make those easy decisions, but when it comes to those difficult decisions, I know it's hard. And so we appreciate you. So on this day, YCEA membership honor and appreciate you and your work. An electronic Big B gift card will be sent to your school email. We appreciate you. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, each one of you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. We have another public comment card that it came in later. So we'll go ahead and do it at this portion and not save it for the second portion. Lydia, what is your last name? Lani? Okay.
Sorry.
This is my first board meeting. So I am, my name's Lydia Lonnie. I'm also a pediatrician at the Ypsilanti U of M site. And so I'm here in support of my patients, but also in support of the Student Advocacy Center. And again, I've learned a lot already tonight about what you guys do and all the hard work you guys do. I live in Ypsilanti now for 4 years, so I'm still new, but I'm bigger now. And I just wanted to say that we have a lot of patients who have a lot of needs, and we're here for them, and we're here to collaborate. I think it's so exciting, all those things that you're talking about, the reorganization and all those things going forward too. And I think just from a practical standpoint, if there's anything that we can do to help collaborate it, to help provide the care for these patients, who are our patients, but also community members and students, I think that we're here to help. And I just wanted to say that we're here, we want to work too with you. So we're here, community partners that are excited to hear some of the excitement that you guys have here, to learn about the kind of new budgeting things, but also just to really put a plug for those special needs patients who are, or students who just sometimes get kind of by the wayside, and whether that be miscommunication or just not having enough understanding of how to navigate the system, we're helping them, guide them too. So I think whatever we can do to help collaborate and move forward and help bridge their education, we're here. So thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Is it Lanny? Lonnie, okay. Names are important. Lydia, Lonnie, and also, that's okay. Glad we can get it in. And thank you, Charlotte Tillerson, for your comments as well, and all our community members who gave public comments this evening. Thank you. Next, that takes us to the organizational portion of our meeting, and we are at action item number 7. And at this time, I would like to take a motion to nominate our acting chairperson, Dr. Zachary Ross. Is there a motion at this time to nominate Dr. Zachary Ross as the acting chairperson of this portion of the meeting for this evening?
Madam President, so moved.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Schindler. Is there support for this motion?
Support. Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. And at this time, I will turn this portion of the meeting over to Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you, Madam President. This portion, at this point, as chairperson, I hereby appoint Julie Haynes to serve as temporary secretary until such time as the secretary of the Board of Education has been elected. Are you ready? Excellent. We will now move to the annual organization meeting and begin with learning who has an interest in holding open positions. All the positions will be open. Officers and positions will be open. So we'll begin with learning who has an interest in serving as president of the board. We are going to, in each of these instances, recognize each trustee with an interest and ask each to share your level of interest and assets that you bring. And this one is to the role of president. After each interested trustee has spoken, I'll ask you to say, each trustee to name the person you would prefer to serve as president for this year. So please remember that each trustee will be called on to identify the name of her preferred candidate for preference. This will narrow down the pool and you'll indicate the trustee with the majority of support for the position. We will stop the roll call when we have a majority, which is 4 nominations for a single candidate when we get to that portion. So I will remind you at that point, and I just want to remind you, we won't go through everyone's name. We'll just go until we get a majority of 4. At this point, who is interested in serving as president of the board?
Dr. Zachary Ross, I will be interested in serving, continuing to serve in the role as president for the school board of Ypsilanti Community Schools.
Thank you. Dr. Hawkins, will you please share just a little bit about the assets that you bring to the role?
I guess I'll try to be as succinct as I possibly can. You know, it's been, a long road. It's been an exciting road. It's been full of ups and downs and joy, having served, on this board, just thinking about the presentations this evening and having been part of the, appointed board and then, being elected to serve several times. Now on this board, I think I am the only board member who has been here since the consolidation. So that has been, I have seen all the ups, the downs, the challenges, the growth, the opportunity. So I've seen a lot. And in that time and serving as a leader of this board and a leader of this community, being a good steward of the district's resources, I think has been, one of the highlights, of this journey. And I would say my biggest highlight is just being in a role to humbly serve this community and to serve the students and to serve the families, to be visible in this community, to be someone who, can collaborate with others, to really not just do this work locally, but take our work nationally through presentations that we've been afforded to give, to talk about all the great things that YCS is doing. You know, it's just, I guess, been really an honor, I guess, for me to kind of see from where we were to where we are now, and really just a point of pride. In closing, I think I will just say that, you know, to be a change maker, a barrier breaker, and a difference maker, and do it unapologetically, and do it not only with this board, but also with the support of you, your leadership team, the teachers in this district, and the families, the community that I continue to serve, has been something that's been near and dear to me, and I will be honored to continue to serve in this role.
Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of president? Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of president? And finally, are there any other trustees interested in serving in the role of president? There's none. Okay. At this point, we have one person. It appears that we have one person there. So if I will open up for nominations at this time. Since we only have one candidate, we can go straight to the nomination portion.
Okay.
Madam Superintendent, President.
Madam Superintendent.
Yes.
Vice President.
President, nominate Dr. Hawkins as President of the Board of Education.
Thank you. We have a nomination that Dr. Hawkins serve as president of the Board of Education until the 2025 organizational meeting.
Yes.
That's okay, perfect. Is there another trustee who will support that nomination? Trustee Fields. So I have a nomination by Trustee Lee and support by Trustee Fields that Dr. Hawkins serve as president of the Ypsilanti Community Schools Board of Education to the 2025 organizational meeting. Are there any discussions that you need on this matter?
Just to comment that I'm really glad that Dr. Hawkins is willing to continue in this role because she's an incredible leader and I'm grateful to serve under her leadership.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, may I have the roll call vote, please?
Is it on me?
Yes.
You just going with me first?
Well, you're just on first list, sorry, you're the first person on the list.
That would be a hard yes. Okay.
Trustee Townsend?
Yes. Trustee Schindler,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Vice President Lee. Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 6-0. The vote is to have Dr. Hawkins to serve as president until the 2025 organizational meeting. Congratulations, President Hawkins.
Thank you, board.
Next, who has an interest in serving as vice president of the board?
Vice President Lee is still interested in serving as Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Will you please share some of the assets?
Well, I do feel that I have served many of roles on this board. I have been president, vice president, and secretary. I have been vice president more than any other office on this board. I feel I am a team player. I am dedicated to this role. You can call on me whenever, and I'm there in the moment's notice. Also, you know, I'm dedicated to the community, to our children, and I think that's about it.
Well, thank you, Trustee Lee. Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of vice president? Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of vice president? And finally, are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of vice president? Seeing none, the nominations are closed. We can move right on to, may I have a nomination, please? A motion.
Trustee Schindler, I would like to nominate Sharon Lee as vice president.
Thank you. I have a nomination by Trustee Schindler, and is there support?
Support.
Support by Dr. Hawkins that Trustee Lee serve as vice president until the 2025 organizational meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Yes. Johnson?
Yes.
Schindler?
Yes. Yes.
Lee? Yes. Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 6-0. The vote is to have Trustee Lee serve as vice president until the 2025 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Vice President Lee. Next, who has the interest in serving as secretary of the board?
Can I make a nomination? I would like to nominate Maria Goodrich as board secretary.
Second. Well, we have, oh, we'll go.
We're not quite.
We not there yet,
Yeah.
okay.
But you're ready.
Thank you.
I'm ready.
Are there any other persons interested? We have a nomination for Maria Goodrich. Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role as secretary? Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of secretary? Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of secretary? Seeing none, is there any discussion? Oh, not that part. It appears that there's a trustee, Maria Gainsley. No, Gainsley has, yep, that's where I am. Gainsley, that's where I was, has nominated Maria Goodrich to serve as secretary until the 2025 organizational meeting. Trustee, I'm putting in the names right now. Townsend seconded the motion. Is there any discussion at this time?
Do we want to read her statement?
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't? Oh, does anyone have it?
Got it up on the phone. Just a sec.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I don't know what part.
I was
but
gonna
I
say,
was gonna-
won't she be surprised when she gets here, but.
I was gonna take parts of it, but I didn't have.
No,
Did she give us a whole statement? I just see her email. Maybe I don't.
I was gonna get a statement.
Oh. I mean, I think a statement.
Yeah, she's just wrote some comments about, committees and also wrote some comments about, continuing to serve in the role.
She did, she says, trying to find the part about being secretary. Um, where is it? Over the past year, I've been serving as board secretary and legislative relations network LRN designee and as a member of subcommittees for policy, strategic and educational performance, or the DTN, and community relations. She is open to consider continuing to serve in each of these capacities and is willing to make space for others if they would like to continue the work. She actually just texted me that she doesn't have a statement while she was, while I was reading. She's watching. Hi, Maria.
Thank you so much.
I'll just add that I think Maria is doing an excellent job as secretary and would appreciate having her continue in that role.
Thank you.
And during our pre-organizational meeting, she also talked about the work that she's done and her willingness to continue to serve in the role.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, Ms. Haynes, will you please call the roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 6-0. The vote is to have trustee Maria Goodrich to serve as secretary until the 2025 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Secretary Goodrich. Who has an interest in serving as treasurer of the board?
Madam Chair, Trustee Townsend, have an interest in serving as treasurer.
Thank you. Will you please share the assets that you bring to the role of treasurer?
I serve as treasurer in several different organizations. Most recently, the Washtenaw Area School Board Association as treasurer and secretary. I'm currently the vice president. In other areas, nonprofit organizations such as Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, Restoration Outreach Ministries of Michigan, and other leadership capacities. My background is over 25 years in the banking finance industry, as well as 15 years in real estate. My specialty is in contractual, well, I'm not gonna say law, but contracts. I've just been a community partner of the district prior to being on the board, and I've currently served on the board for 2.5 years. So that's my niche.
Thank you. Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of treasurer? Are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of treasurer? And finally, are there any other persons interested in serving in the role of treasurer? Seeing none, I would like to ask for a nomination. Thank you, trustee Fields. Is there support?
Support, trustee Schindler.
I have a nomination from trustee Fields that trustee Townsend serve as secretary until the 2025 organizational meeting, with trustee Schindler seconding the nomination. Is there any discussion on this item?
Serve as treasurer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, you said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Treasurer. It does say secretary here.
Oh,
I should say treasurer.
I just literally just read it, but treasurer. Oh, sorry.
It is.
Secretary of the money.
Thank you for that correction. To serve as treasurer until the 2025 organizational meeting. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, James, will you call the roll call vote?
Yes.
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 The motion passes 6-0. The vote is to have trustee Townsend to serve as treasurer until the 2025 organizational meeting. Congratulations, Treasurer Townsend. Thank you for the opportunity to chair the organizational meeting. I now recognize President Hawkins, who will serve as chair going forward.
Thank you, Dr. Zachary Ross. At this time, this will take us to the appointments of our board committee members and liaisons. So I know we've had a number of, before we begin, I know we've had a number of trustees who have served in different capacities on the board through committee work. And I guess I'm just wondering, before we take the motion to appoint board representatives, what board members have an interest in serving right now in the roles we have listed? The first one is our parliamentarian. Is there a trustee who is interested in serving in that role for the upcoming year? You want to continue? Yeah. Thank you. All right, Vice President Lee. What about our Head Start Policy Committee? LRN designee?
I believe Trustee Goodrich expressed interest in that.
She did. I think she also said if someone else wanted to step in, they could. Let's see if there's going to be a virtual arm wrestle. I don't think so. So I will put Trustee Goodrich in that role. What about the WASB representative?
Townsend.
Thank you, Trustee Townsend. The Ypsilanti Foundation Board Liaison.
Townsend.
Thank you, Trustee Townsend. The MASB Convention Delegate and Alternate. Fields, would you like to serve as the delegate or the alternate? Perfect. Who would like to serve in the role as alternate? Oh, that was a good one.
Townsend.
Did I hear Townsend for real?
Townsend.
Okay. All right. What about the coordinated school health team?
Schindler, unless somebody else wants it.
I don't think so. The Sex Education Advisory Board.
Schindler.
Perfect. Next, we have a list of our subcommittees. Trustees, do you have an interest in continuing in your roles? I'll just go through them. For the policy subcommittee, currently our chair is Trustee Schindler. Trustee Goodrich and I both serve on the policy subcommittee as well. Trustee Schindler, would you like to continue on the policy subcommittee?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. For the financial and operational planning subcommittee, so just to recap, for the policy subcommittee, Trustee Schindler will serve as chair. I will serve, and so will Trustee Goodrich. For our financial and operational planning subcommittee, Trustee Gainsley, would you like to continue serving as chair?
I would be interested in inviting our new treasurer to take the chair role, but I'd love to serve on the committee.
Sure.
All right. Trustee Townsend, you will serve as the chair. You're okay with that? And then I have Trustee Gainsley. You're going to serve on the committee. Is there any other board members who are interested in serving on the financial and operational planning subcommittee? You want to do that? Okay, I was on that subcommittee, but, I will happily. Nope, I was just sharing the love. Yeah, okay. Do you want it?
It's okay, if no one's gonna say that, it's fine, I'm wherever I'm needed.
It doesn't matter to me either way. I'm gonna let you make a decision. Perfect. I got you down. And the Strategic and Educational Performance Subcommittee, currently, that would be Trustee Goodrich, myself, and, Vice President Lee serving, on that committee. Vice President Lee, did you want to continue to serve on?
Yeah.
Okay. And I will stay on that committee, and I believe Trustee Goodrich will continue in that capacity as well. And then last but not least, our, Community Relations Subcommittee. Who would like to serve on the subcommittee for Community Relations? Okay. So we have Trustee Fields, you're going to serve as the chair. Who else would like to serve on the Community Relations Subcommittee?
Townsend.
Townsend, and who else?
Serve on that.
All right. Excellent. So just to recap before we take a motion, we have our parliamentary, that would be Vice President Lee, Head Start Policy Committee, Vice President Lee, Legislative Relations, Network designee, Trustee Goodrich, our WASB representative, Trustee Townsend, our Ypsilanti Foundation Board Liaison, Trustee Townsend, our MASB Convention Delegated Alternate. We have Trustee Fields as our delegate, Trustee Townsend as the alternate, our Coordinated School Health Team, Trustee Schindler, our Sex Education Advisory Board, Trustee Schindler, Policy Subcommittee, Policy Subcommittee Chair, Trustee Schindler, members Hawkins and Goodrich, Financial and Operational Planning Subcommittee Chair Townsend, members Gainesley and Fields, Strategic and Educational Performance Subcommittee. We don't have a chair, but I think I have historically served in that role, so I don't mind serving as chair. Goodrich and, Vice President Lee. And then we have for our Community Relations Subcommittee, Trustee Fields serving as the chair, and members Townsend and Vice President Lee. Is that accurate, board? Okay, it's,
Was on that
which one?
community relations subcommittee. Was it Goodrich? Oh, yeah.
Goodrich was.
She didn't want to do it again, did she?
She was happy to say if someone else wanted to do with it. Yep.
All right.
All right, is there a motion at this time to accept the appointments of our board representatives for until our next organizational meeting in January 2025?
Trustee Townsend, so moved.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Trustee Schindler.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, board members, for your commitment and hard work on these committees. Next, we have our consent agenda. Is there a motion at this time?
January 8th, 2024, special board meeting. Number 2, personnel matters as presented with today, 1/16/2024, new hires and resignations.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Trustee Gainesley.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Gainesley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to a discussion, which is our first reading of our Neola Troon policy updates. And I know this discussion will be led by our Chair of the Policy Subcommittee, Trustee Schindler.
Thank you, Dr. Hawkins. Really, I think the best person to address this would be probably Ms. McCarthy, but I will say that the policy subcommittee met last week and discussed these changes. I know that they came to us a little like, I thought we were actually gonna vote on them tonight. Is that not? No, we're not. We're just doing the first reading, so that's good. Basically there've been changes in employment law, and as usual, you know, we have to keep up with the law. So, there were a few options, in there, and in all cases, we went with the, recommendation of the administration because it seemed like the most individualized, flexible, and teacher-oriented of the choices. To no one, well, certainly not to my surprise. So you know, there's a couple of new policies as I recall, and then some that are changed. But like I said, and as in many of these cases, a lot of this is just stuff we have to pass. And then there were a couple of these choices. So that's my general overview as someone that's not a professional in that field.
Thank you, Trustee Schindler, and thank you, Ms. McCarty, for coming up to give us some context.
Thank you, board. I appreciate it. So we're looking at the board policy updates so that we're compliant with PARA, and PARA is the Public Employee Relations Act. There's been multiple changes in that that will come into play effective February 13th of this year. That will impact 2024-25 school year and in the future. And so with right to work gone, and many of the prohibited subjects, I gave you a list, I think, in the board packet of the prohibited subjects that are now mandatory issues of bargaining, as well as some that are permissive, as well as some that are prohibited, and finally some that are just illegal. And the legal ones are just, you can't violate the Fair Labor Standards Act. And so going over those, we met with the county, we met with the legal counsel, we took all the advice as far as how do we best comply with all of the changes in PARA. And then we, as Trustee Schindler was saying, we went with the choices that were most conducive to working best with our union. And some of those mandatory subjects that just used to be prohibited subjects were teacher placement, teacher evaluation, merit pay, hours of work. Those are all now on the table for negotiations, and our board policies had to reflect that. So we put into place the ones for Troon, because the ones for Troon outlined and gave us guidelines opposed to generalities so that we could follow board policy when we enter into negotiations this year. Was there any further questions on what you were looking at? And then the new policies that Trustee Schindler alluded to were that the superintendent will be allowed to present merit pay, because merit pay used to be a prohibited subject, and there are two policies, one for professional staff and one for support. That just allows her to bring proposals to the board. It doesn't allow her to say, okay, I think I'll give everybody this. It's just gives her that authority to say, we'd like to do merit pay, and then you negotiate it with your teams and bring it to the board.
So, was there any language change in these policies?
Oh, yes. Yes, there are language changes, because the law changed. So it used to
So
be.
you wanna walk them through what, and these came from, so the Troon packet, we got the entire Troon packet. What you see here is the Troon language. And she can walk through each one to make sure if there's any questions, not necessarily explaining each one, but just ask if there's each one. So what you'll see in your packet, like it says, we'll start with the 4100. And then on the back, you'll see our current policy that is aligned. So you'll see a lot more language, because before it could not be any language around it. So this is where our attorney Henley went with us specifically and said, yep, go with Troon versus the overall Neola ones that we have in board docs, because Troon, we have Troon attorneys, we have Troon that will be able to walk us through.
So
Wait, I want to make sure, sorry. I want to make sure I didn't cut off.
Yeah.
Are you ready for us to walk through, board? If you have questions.
I just have one question, just on understanding. You said that, these policies will take in effect what the law has on February 13th, correct?
Not necessarily these policies. You guys are doing the first read and then the second read, but the law changes February 13th,
Okay, all right.
2024 for most of these policies.
And so we would have to have these voted prior to that date?
It doesn't have to be prior to, but that's why the attorney said that if you do them now, so that's why we appreciated the subcommittee meeting. As soon as we met with Trune and they gave us these and we brought them before you and you hadn't heard about it at this meeting and the next meeting so that we can be as close to that date.
Okay.
Ready? So 4108 just says that we won't interfere with union activity and representation. And also third-party contracting going to 4207 is basically talking about what we currently do, like for EduStaff and Divergent. It gives language around that saying that we can still continue to use those third parties for those reasons. Going into 4402 is talks in depth about assignment and transfer. And what we talk about in this policy is that we will not violate MCL 1249 and MCL 1248 that guides teacher placement, that we will indeed stick with the law and we will not violate that, as well as we will negotiate with our unions. And we will take things into consideration, multiple things, because you can no longer take just seniority as a tiebreaker if you have 2 staff members. You have to take into consideration evaluation, previous effective ratings, attendance, multiple. You just have to have multiple considerations, and that we will post vacancies appropriately. And that just goes along with our policy, 3,000 professional assignments and transfers, which was very brief because it was a prohibited subject. So now we just have actually outlined how we're going to comply with the law. Any questions on that one? Then going into 4403 is performance evaluation. Again, it's going to be repetitively going with MCL 1248, MCL 1249, because those are the laws that are in place that protect staff and also guide the district in how we do performance evaluation. This also now is something that needs to be discussed with the union. This talks about evaluation and that you can, do skip years or other options if you have teachers who are highly effective and you don't have to evaluate them every year. This kind of coincides with our probationary teacher policy, policy 3142, as well as policy 3220, which is quite extensive, and it just takes into consideration all of the changes in law for both professional and support staff. Performance-based compensation, that's the policy that I was just referring to for merit pay. So 4404 says that the superintendent or designee can at least bring a proposal for merit pay to the board, and that we will negotiate that. 4405 talks about reduction in force. So should a need for a layoff occur, we're going to once again be compliant with MCL 1248, MCL 1249, having the law as our guardrails to making those decisions, and that we will consider those multiple factors again, just as you have to do an evaluation now. It's no longer seniority. Is a placement, not evaluation, Layoff will be very similar to placement. In this, there were a couple of options and we decided, to propose that if the reduction for evaluation is in place, that we would go with, instruction. And that coincides with board policy 3130, which again was very brief because it was a prohibited subject of bargaining. Going down to 4407, this is the policy on discipline, which used to be prohibited as well. And again, it's going to discuss like probationary teachers who, you know, those in their first 5 years. And the reasons that we can miss those staff, and then goes on to talk about tenured and non-probationary professional staff. Again, outlining many of the factors. So if you, for some reason, have to discharge a probationary teacher, we won't do it for arbitrary and capricious reasons. For tenure, we'll follow the tenure law because that governs any release of a tenured teacher. That policy goes in, our policy currently 3139. And then termination, as we're going into termination and resignation. This is, again, discuss probationary teachers and what happens with probationary teachers should we need to terminate or they need to resign. And in this one, it also outlines the option to do 4 or 5 years for tenure. We selected to stay with the tenure law for 5 years. That policy is 3140 in your packet that we currently have. Then moving on to non-renewal. So in non-renewal, probationary teachers are subject to non-renewal annually. You usually give 15 days notice. In this policy, we selected to go with the 30-day notice to give more notice. And then in terms of teacher tenure, we are going to follow the tenure law because it's clear and it's the law. It's absolutely what we need to do. And staff discipline 3139 again is there, and 3220. This is the one that, these are the ones that this particular legislation enhances, as well as the administrators. Am I going too fast? Do I need to pause? Am I good? Okay, good. Okay. And then finally, it goes back to the performance evaluation piece, the merit piece, but this is then the policy that will govern administrators. And that states again that the superintendent can bring a proposal to the board. It was never a necessary policy because it was a prohibited subject of bargaining, but now that it is part of bargaining, we need a policy to go with it.
Thank you, that made it much clearer.
Did it? Okay, good. I'm glad. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Ms. McCarty. Any board questions or comments or feedback? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, that takes us to the acceptance of a field trip. And that's the Ypsilanti Community High School RCTC Culinary. Is there a motion at this time? Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, a motion was made by Trustee Fields, supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the acceptance of a field trip request for Ypsilanti Connected Community School on April 8th. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education approve the field trip of Ypsilanti Connected Community School to Toledo, Ohio on April 8th, 2024.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Wait, that was. Oh, sorry, I was just confused. My apologies.
That's okay.
Trustee Schindler, support.
Thank you. Supported by Trustee Schindler. Any discussion on this item?
I did have a question, Madam President.
Yes.
On here, it's saying that the cost is $60 and that's going to be covered by students. Is that correct? But then I see something else, or maybe I might be on the wrong trip. Sorry. I think so.
I also wound up on the wrong track.
Yeah, I'm reading them. No. Okay, yeah, it says $60 per student, and then it says family contributions, grants, and fundraising. So never mind, this is the wrong trip. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. That was coming up, so.
Yep.
Yep, that's fine. So just to recap, a motion was made by Vice President Lee, supported by Trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the acceptance of a field trip request for Ypsilanti Connected Community School from April 30th through May 2nd to Niagara Falls in Ontario. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, I move that the Board of Education approve the overnight field trip of Ypsilanti Community Connected School to Niagara Falls, Ontario on April 30th through May 2nd, 2024.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Trustee Schindler. Is there support for this motion? Thank you. Supported by Trustee Fields. Board discussion.
Okay, so this is the one I had a discussion about. This one, we have the cost at $600. I see where, per student, I see where it says family contributions, grants, and fundraisings. So we have a clear outline of what those activities will consist of. And do we have contingency in place just to make sure that every student that wants to participate can go? That's my question.
I was about to say, Dr. Zachary, would you like to speak to it or invite Mr. Ingraham to come up and speak to it? Please. So glad you're here.
Regarding the fundraising, and is there an outline and plan for the fundraising? How are the remainder? How detailed are we at the $600? And is there an opportunity for every student who wants to attend to be able to attend?
So the fundraising and the cost, we do have a couple of grants that will help in paying the attractions, which will aid in those in need. So there will be a minimum of about $100. And then from there, we have donations, and then we have a couple of fundraisers that our PTO is working on.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, every child was.
Yes,
because that's a big.
we do have a very strong support system, and they provide not only does my staff do donations, but the family also will end up contributing parts of that, which is really great. But we just want to make sure what we will do for those that are in need is that as long as they participate in the fundraisers, they will be able to go.
Okay.
So nobody's going to be denied for money.
So when you say how many students are currently experiencing academic problems, which is 12, what exactly are you saying? That they won't be able to go, or?
No, that was the question on the form. Academic troubles they are below grade level in their testing. So they are 1 to 3 years below their grade level for the testing. Doesn't mean they can't go. That's what it asks.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But it's 40 students total though.
Yes,
That's good.
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other board questions or discussion? Thank you, Principal Ingraham. Okay, so just to recap, a motion was made by trustee Schindler, supported by trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to action item 12, organizational meeting matters. And the first item is our district compliance officer's appointment. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, trustee Schindler, I move to designate the following staff to serve as district compliance officers. 1, this assistant superintendent as 504 compliance officer, and 2, the director of human resources as district compliance officer and ADA coordinator in compliance with policy numbers 2260.01 and 4123.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Schindler. Is there support for this motion?
Support Vice President Lee.
Supported by Vice President Lee. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the Board of Education meeting schedule adoption. And I know the board has had an opportunity to look at many of these items ahead of time, and those schedules are also in our board packet for those of us who get the hard copy version. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee. To adopt the Board of Education meeting schedule for January 22, 2024 through January 27, 2025.
A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Schindler, support.
Supported by trustee Schindler. Discussion from the board. We have 2 options to choose from. So before we adopt the schedule, I'll recap who made the motion, who supported it. There are 2 options for us to take a look at. So is there discussion at this time from the board on what preferences you might have for the schedules that have been presented?
Are we considering moving the meetings to Tuesday night?
Ms. Haynes and I went through the schedule, and some of the dates are further apart if they're on Mondays than on Tuesdays. And so it's the pleasure of the board of how closely aligned based off of district calendars, days off that we have in the next year. And so that was just to give you options instead of saying, here it is, because there are so many tight days and there weren't multiple. And then we knew once you started checking the calendars, there were multiple Mondays that were a challenge.
Okay.
That was the only rationale.
Well, thank you for both of the options. Go ahead. Okay, thank you, trustee Fields.
I prefer Mondays as well.
I prefer Mondays.
Okay, so I think the Monday schedule is what the board's pleasure is in terms of what we will go with. I know there was some discussion last year about meeting frequency and the once a month. There were some board members who expressed maybe wanting to meet more than once a month because of the gaps in between. So I don't know if that's something that we want to consider or discuss at this time.
I would support that, especially not necessarily twice every month, but when there is that larger gap. Certainly found a number of times this year where, having something acted on days, or, you know, there was some short-term need for us to add a meeting. So for my part, I'd rather have them on the calendar and I'd rather have them on the calendar and cancel them than have to try and scramble to, schedule a last minute.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Schindler and Townsend?
Well, I think the biggest concern is we have some heavy projects coming, some big projects coming down the pipeline. And, you know, it would be easier if we kind of knew in advance. If we had to say, for instance, with the move to the middle school, those types of things, you know, you got negotiations coming up.
Right.
And meeting certain deadlines. So it would be good to stick those dates in ahead of time. And if we have to cancel, we can cancel.
We have to finish those before this calendar, this Thursday, next January. 2020. It starts next year this time. I mean, February, yeah.
Oh,
no,
negotiations.
February. Oh,
It's
you're right, this is February.
It seems to me like that makes a lot of sense. I'm lucky I don't have small kids in my life. That sounded really bad, but I just have flexibility. But that, you know, that makes a lot of sense.
So board, is it possible, and Superintendent, Dr. Zachary Ross, is it possible, I know that, our meeting schedule historically has been second and fourth. I'm wondering if we might do second and have a placeholder for fourth for an additional meeting.
These are not second and fourth, these work with the dates that basically these folks in the room can come and that the district administration can be there.
Okay, so
Like, they're not second and fourth, that's why we gave you the Tuesday, because we realized it's some Mondays that none of these folks could even, there's not even a July date on purpose.
I know.
No, and it can be Monday, we just wanted to point out that there's a lot on Mondays
Okay,
upcoming.
so we can add meetings if.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, or you can have meetings now, we just knew that these were the dates that everybody
Could make,
from this team could be absolutely there.
okay. So we have Monday, February the 12th, and that's a short month, so. When is? So just so I'm clear, there are no more Mondays for the rest of the year that we can meet.
Oh, no.
He will be available. No, there are.
No, there are
Oh,
no
okay.
Mondays, but we were just trying to get, if it was the once a month, some months though, it was a challenge to do.
Okay,
And so we just knew,
so can we pull out our calendars?
Yeah.
Board, please? So the 12th is set, if we're looking at February, and then the next opportunity for the board to meet, when is I know there's a break coming up, is that in March?
yes, and there's a one day, which is a Monday in February, I think.
You know, those dates make it look like it's a really long time. It's 4 weeks, unless I've miscounted.
It's
It's
not
just
too
4
bad.
weeks between the February meeting and the March meeting.
Okay,
Unless I've miscounted, which I do sometimes.
No.
But I think it's just 4 weeks. Oh, no, it might be 5. I think it's 5. 1, 2. Hold on. 3, 4. No, it's 4. It's 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Because the next one would be, okay, yeah, it's a big, okay, so the 18th. Is it possible to add dates, say like on the 26th and of February and the 25th of March?
25th of March is spring break.
Oh, that's spring break. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So then it looks like. The 12th is set. Do we want to try to add another meeting date in February or look at, say, March 11th or 4?
Well, the March 11th, I mean, we would have another meeting on the 18th, so that's like
Right away.
literally the next week.
The 26th, February 26th sounded like the most likely
The most likely the
candidate,
26th?
just in terms of being
Adding a meeting?
spaced appropriately from the other meetings.
Okay.
The only one that I would say is that the June one is, what is that, June 3rd?
Mm-hmm.
And our budget approval meeting is usually late
Yeah.
in June. You know, cause it's hard to get that
Mhm.
whole budget together real early. So
Mm-hmm.
if we were gonna add a meeting, I would argue that June 24th would be a good time to add a meeting.
June 24th. So it looks like we're adding February 26th so far, and now we're looking at June 24th. 24. Any other dates, board, that you can see on the calendar that might, March, we have a break, April, anything in April? We're meeting on the 8th. Will we need to add a meeting, say, on the 22nd or the 29th? Just as a placeholder.
Okay.
No,
like
no,
this
no,
one,
no.
so we're looking like-
Oh, no, we're not really for real adding them, just in case we need to.
So should we asterisk these?
Other than the
We're-
June 24th one,
Yeah,
we
only if
probably
we
need
need
to
it.
for real add.
Say that again,
The June 24th, we probably need to for real add.
for the budget,
For the budget.
okay.
Cause the public does look at these and think, oh, there's gonna be a meeting,
Hmm.
so they'll
We
fill
could
up.
put some holds
Yeah,
informally on our calendar.
yep, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That, on the 8th.
It was short notice for me.
But we didn't get that from the ISD till,
Like a placeholder. Mhm.
right. But we just got that from the ISD. We could have still maybe not known, cause we got it and then, oh, yeah. I get it.
I will say this, and I totally appreciate that, and I think placeholders are a good idea. But I will say that even back when we were meeting twice a month, or even really every, seemed like every 2 weeks sometimes, but anyway,
Mhm.
we would still have those kinds of meetings
That's why-
because
that's
something
why I
would
was-
come up that was super quick. So it seemed like we had them just as often as we do now. That's anecdotal.
Mhm.
Well, I just mean like, even if we meet more often, that still happens. So,
That's true, that's
know.
because there's some things that are beyond our control.
so I don't personally see like, let me just say, cause I don't have childcare to worry about and I don't have, like, I don't really schedule other stuff on Mondays. I'm lucky like that, like I don't have, not everybody has that privilege, but anyway, so for me, I just kind of expect to have surprise board meetings. I guess is really all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Even graduation and.
Yes.
Oh, it is, you know what?
Mm.
And while Dr. Zachary Ross is pulling that data up, these dates that we are, like the February 26th, June 24th, it sounds like that's something that we need to, because of the budget. But the other dates that we're playing around with are not dates that we're actually having meetings. These are just placeholder dates in case we need a meeting.
But I do think we will need a meeting on June 24th.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely.
That one's going on.
So we should definitely add that one.
Can I also ask that if we're moving to a monthly schedule, I believe our website says that our board
was
meetings are
about to say that.
typically on the 2nd and 4th. So if we could just update that to say,
That would be great.
did we update it to monthly?
No,
it's
we
there.
have to date.
It's there.
It's there, it was there. We
Oh, it must be
updated
in
it-
another spot.
We
then.
updated it to say typically on the
Um,
2nd and 4th, because it used to say board meetings are always on the 2nd and 4th.
Mhm.
So we updated it to say typically and check the schedule. So I think we need to
Oh.
update it again to say that it's monthly instead of twice a month.
Okay, I know, I'm like, we changed the language.
We did
Okay,
change
thank
it,
you.
but not
Okay,
monthly.
Just
Yeah.
so there's no expectation. it's
Thank
typically
you for that.
expectations, Yeah.
thank you. I'm like, we
Yeah, it
just,
definitely says typically. Can confirm, looking at it now.
Mhm. What date is graduation?
for YCHS
Mm-hmm.
is May 30th.
May 30th. Okay.
And Y High is May 22nd.
22nd. Okay, that's two back to back.
I don't want them to have to be.
Mm-hmm.
While we're talking about dates,
Mm-hmm.
can we ask that in regards to the retreat, if we can kind of know, if possible,
Early.
60 days in advance? Because I know my summer is about to be hectic.
Yes.
That'd be great
That's
too.
that's a great request.
We can start putting out some dates. Right.
What's
It's
a better,
usually in August
what's
when
a
the
better month
come-
for the board for a retreat? June, July, or August? June is, I don't know, if June is a good month.
It's usually once the principals come back in August.
In August, okay,
So we can plan with them and then also plan.
okay. Well, I have flexibility in August.
Are there any dates that you know you're available now for members? And that's when we normally have it. So good
Okay.
thing you told us. Thank
So maybe the second week. I would probably say either the second or third week in August. As we get closer to August, that's when we're getting close to, what is the first day of school?
That's what I was. Oh,
Okay. When is the first day of school for the
I don't have
upcoming
it
year?
in there yet. Do you have for the next year? The calendar, I know Ms. McCarty usually has it for the next year on the first day of school.
I'm gonna say it's probably the week of the 26th.
You think so?
If you do it like you did last year, it'll be sometime the week of the 26th.
Okay.
This year, oh, right.
So it sounds like we might be safe the week of
This is
August
the
12th.
end of the 3-year contract.
Oh, the 5th is good for you too? Okay. So the week of the 5th or the week of the 12th, maybe, if, for the board retreat.
And we can start planning.
Is that a
early.
conflict, trustee Townsend, for you at all?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, we'll plan around that.
Vice President Lee? Is that good for you? Schindler?
Don't plan anything around my August schedule.
I just say, got it.
If all
August
goes well,
fifth,
I will
okay.
be out of the country for
And what
most
was
of
the other one?
August.
Okay.
That's the good one.
Yep.
And we will start looking and planning now.
Thank you.
And any days of the week, a preference? And any days of the week preference, board members, since we're doing it, we can start looking.
Mm-hmm. I'm flexible.
What? Friday's the best day?
Okay.
Bring that up.
Mm-hmm. That's a great suggestion.
I like planning early too.
Right. Plug it in. All right. All right, so we have some dates that we're adding. Is there anything else, I guess, as we go into September, October, and November?
February 26th, possible date.
Yeah.
Nothing for March.
Mm-mm.
April 22nd, possible date.
Yes.
Nothing for May.
Mm-mm.
And June 24th,
Correct.
for sure.
The 22nd as a placeholder, not an actual meeting, but in case we need to meet.
Okay.
Anything in September or October? We're meeting on the 9th. Do we want to add the 23rd as a placeholder? Yeah. We meet again October the 7th. We could add the 21st potentially, or the,
Well, that's the week of the MASB conference that week.
which week, the 21st or the 28th?
It's the 24th through the 27th.
Oh, okay.
That's just a long.
So either the 21st or the 28th, the front end or the back end might be. You said no? Okay.
He good in October, and it's homecoming month.
And
which
all
he
the-
good,
yeah.
so.
Okay. And then November, we have holidays in both November and December, so do we want to just leave those as once? When I add, yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
it'll be a lot of events that month.
all right. You got it all down, Dr. Zachary Ross? Yes. Thank you, board. Yep, we can go back to it. So a motion was made by Vice President Lee. Who is it supported by? I didn't write it out.
Schindler.
Me.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to, action items under organizational meeting business items, review and approval. Is there a motion for the use of our facsimile signature authorization?
Trustee Townsend moved to authorize the Director of Business and Finance to file the necessary forms with the appropriately designated banks to use the facsimile signature of the school district superintendent on check draws of the general fund, food service fund, debt retirement fund, payroll account, student activities fund, and trust fund.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Schindler, support.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is, a motion to execute contracts and sign documents on behalf of the district authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Townsend moved to designate the limited thereto the following administrators to sign contract and other documents on behalf of the district superintendent or designee and Director of Business and Finance.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion? Thank you. Supported by trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to our bank account signatories authorization. Is there a motion at this time?
Superintendent or treasurer, director of business and finance, supervisor as official signatures of bank accounts.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support. Trustee Schindler.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to the depository for school district funds designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, trustee Schindler, I move that the Board of Education utilize the following financial institutions as depositories for the following funds: normal operations, deposits and withdrawals. 1, Michigan Liquid Asset Fund Plus. 2, Bank of Ann Arbor, and 3, Fifth Third Bank. Bonded indebtedness paying agents: 1, Bank of New York, 2, Huntington National Bank, 3, U.S. Bank, and 4, Pacific Western.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Schindler. Is there support for this motion?
Support trustee Townsend.
Supported by trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to the electronic transfer officer designation. Is there a motion at this time?
President, Vice President Lee move that the board treasurer or director of business and finance be appointed as electronic transfer officer, ETO, in accordance with policy number 6144.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Schindler, support.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to the audit firm designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, trustee Fields move that the Board of Education designate Neil and Neil as auditor of the year ending 2024.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Vice President Lee.
Any discussion on this item? Motion has been made by trustee Fields, supported by Vice President Lee. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to our legal counsel designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the Board of Education authorize the following law firm as legal counsel for the district: Thorne Law Firm, PC, retainer, and Collins and Baha, PC.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Schindler, support.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Schindler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to the newspaper for bid notices and other legal posting designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Trustee Townsend, move that the Board of Education designate the Ann Arbor News for bid notices and other legal postings.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Townsend. Is there support for this motion? Thank you. Supported by trustee Fields. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, that takes us to the meeting posting responsibilities designation. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, Vice President Lee, move that the superintendent or designee will designate an appropriate available person to post notices of public meetings.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice President Lee. Is there support for this motion?
Trustee Townsend, support.
Thank you. Supported by trustee Townsend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to action item number 14 under business and finance, our 2022-2023 annual financial audit report. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, this is trustee Gainsley. I move that the Board of Education accept the audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, as audited by independent firm Yo and Yo.
Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Gainsley. Is there support for this motion?
Support, Vice President Lee.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, that takes us to the acceptance of the Be Creative Studios invoice. Is there a motion at this time? Thank you. A motion has been made by trustee Fields. Is there support for this motion?
Support, sorry.
Vice President Lee, support.
Thank you. Supported by Vice President Lee. Any discussion on this item?
I did have a question.
Yes.
This stated that there's gonna be 3 murals. Do we know where these are gonna be at? Yeah.
They haven't had a place to recommend yet. It's they made the request to the community foundation to the community foundation and to seek for a joint project district-wide with all the art teachers. And I'm sure they're going to have a recommendation. All the students in the district will be working together. Oh, I'm just talking like I know, but I've been to a few meetings, but they're working together with the artists, and then I'm sure they'll make a recommendation and have some ideas. Last time, some of the murals were used in the Embracing Equity, and they then brought them back and had them placed throughout. They were in that park. I can't even think of the name of it. We went to visit, and then they brought them back. It's the same type of mural.
Okay.
Okay. So this is coming out of SEEK or,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I thought they had another portion of another grant too, but mostly Seek.
Okay,
Correct.
for this grant.
Oh, that's that part of it.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, the movable, yes.
Any other board questions or discussion?
What schools will be involved?
All 11.
All 11? Okay.
Yep, and we've said we needed all the teachers to be involved to make sure because we didn't want to give professional development for specific groups that they didn't feel was important to them. Because a lot of times it's that whole group. We say all the English teachers or math. This is what the art department chose as their year
project and what they want to do together.
But they don't have a thing yet, or what?
They've been working with Mr. What's his name? Mr. Curtis Wallace and Miss Eden Spring to work on creative ideas. And there's been several meetings that they've come to about what they would be theming around.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know, I'm excited.
Okay.
Any other board comments, questions, feedback? All right, a motion was made by trustee Fields, supported by Vice President Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carried. That takes us to our second public comment portion for this evening. And I've already read the public comment protocol, and at this time would ask Amanda Smith to come to address the board.
Good evening. As the new president of the Ypsilanti Community Schools Foundation, I wanted to come and say hello and thank you all for everything that you've done for the community and for the students through all of your leadership. I also wanted to specifically call out an acknowledgement of Trustee Gainsley for her service to the Ypsilanti Community Schools Foundation over the last year, and to thank Trustee Townsend for stepping up to join us this year. We have really appreciated all of the help of everyone who served in this capacity in the past, and it's a working board. We don't have staff, so the people that come and help from the school board have traditionally been right in there with us. And so we really have appreciated that. And we have some exciting things on the horizon, more to come on it, but there's a fundraiser that's bubbling up, which is coming out of the community and a person who wants to help. And so we're really excited about that coming in October, and excited about engaging with more people around our wonderful schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. And I think I had raised a question, since you're here last time we met, any updates on scholarships for students?
So that's a great question. And I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay.
We have had some transitions on YCSF, as you know. One of the transitions that happened was that DJ Sharif, who was our longtime scholarship chair, finally left the board, I believe. And Herman Humes has stepped up as our scholarship chair, and he's wonderful. We're excited to have him in that space, but I have not talked to him since, I haven't had a chance to chat with him since I've been in this specific role. I actually realized there's one other thing I wanted to share with you all today, if that's okay. I know I stepped away, but if you have one more second. I also wanted to share with you something unrelated in a capacity, a volunteer capacity. I've been involved with an organization called Secret Santa Society of Ypsilanti. And I just wanted to give you a quick update on that because it's a project I care a lot about. The program supports families with holiday. It's pretty much an entire Christmas experience. Anything from breakfast and dinner for Christmas to like literally everything for families. Like it could be cooking supplies and like basic household needs. It could be coats and boots and like all the presents. The family that I was involved with this year, we were looking at their wish list, making sure they had all their basic needs and making sure they had, the fun stuff too, like a new iPad. Like these are families that they're referred primarily through YCS, through our school social work team. There were 63 families supported this year and 50 of them were YCS families. So just an amazing program, and just wanted to let you know that your incredible social work team has been part of that and building that program and creating that. That's all.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't have more on the scholarships right now. I'll
Nope,
see if I
just
can
when
get
you do,
that.
let us know.
Yeah.
Or send it to whoever's on the, serving. Thank you so much. All right, next that takes us to board superintendent comments. Any comments from the board?
Yes, President Hawkins, I was speaking in the small group session, and I spoke with Dr. Zachary Ross. I was asking her about if we can have a presentation about the Black History 365 program that we adopted, back in 2022, I believe.
Okay.
I told her it doesn't have to be a rush job, because I know it's a lot going on right now. But I would like to just get information on how that program is going, what the students like, what the teachers like, how far back the history goes, So, if her team can get that together and do a presentation to the board, I'll appreciate it. I don't know if I just wanted the whole board to know.
Okay.
And I'm quite sure she told the other group too, but I just wanted to bring that up.
The Black History 365 program
Yes.
update to the board. Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Vice President Lee?
I think and I remember, I don't know if Trustee Townsend, I know when we were at the CUBE conference, you were asking about another curriculum we adopted. Do you remember what that was?
I don't remember yesterday, I'm sorry.
I don't know if it was the curriculum. I think it was, we were talking about a new year, because when we talked, we were going to the organizational meeting and it would be afterwards. We were talking about the student liaisons.
Oh.
That we would think about for the upcoming year. How can they be participants? How can they really have voice?
Right, I think that's something we definitely can maybe put that on the retreat agenda so that we can implement that for the new year.
Okay.
And kind of build that out or think about it and then come to the table for the retreat
Okay.
on how we want to build that out. That'll give us time to talk about it.
Sounds good. Other board comments?
Go ahead. Oh,
We didn't have our communication meeting last week, but because I had some family things, so I only got the tail end, so I didn't even get to hear the whole thing. So I'm hoping that Mr. Johnson can fill in for that, or as far as being able to report on that. Because I came in on the tail end of that.
the biggest thing from that meeting was we are planning, the administration is planning to do the celebration. I'm sure Dr. Zachary Ross will talk about it regarding the debt relief as well as the 10-year anniversary. So that will be, I'm not going to say a date because I know that could change, but as of right now, we will get notification from the superintendent regarding that date. However, there is a spreadsheet out there that Lambert has sent us for us to put who we want to invite. So if there are people that you want us specifically to make sure that they invite, whether it's other leaders in the community, community members, whomever, to put it on that spreadsheet, and everybody should have access to that spreadsheet now. And hopefully we can just wrap that up before month end because time is of the essence. You're welcome.
I'm report on that, but I didn't have all of it to report, so.
All right, perfect. Other board comments?
We had the legislative breakfast today for the Washtenaw Area School Board Association. That went very well. It was pretty full in the room, as well as we had some participants online. So thank you to all of YCS members that were able to attend. And I'm going to still push that be hybrid just because I just believe in accessibility, but that's just a side conversation. But some of the things that were discussed with legislators were, of course, they congratulated us on our debt relief. Dr. Zachary Ross talked about, there's more details to come with that once they talk to Treasury. Some hot topics was the school aid fund, and they are trying to revitalize the Bessie Hoffman School, which is part of Lincoln. and doing, some type of special CTE programming for that, that will work ultimately in conjunction with the other districts' programs, adult education and talent requisition. They did talked about, talent together, I'm saying, request. They did talked about the program that is with the WISD in Eastern and how there were 19 graduates and 18 of them have so far been confirmed with jobs. So hopefully these next cohorts will go YCS. Anyway, but they also just put a bug in the ear of legislators we want to continue that program because it's just a great way to have people that are paraeducators be certified as certified teachers. And then there was some conversation around dyslexia and literacy bills. So it was a great conversation. I would say I was trying to look up the next dates, but there is a board meeting in February. I will forward all the dates to you all. But the big meeting that's coming up, I believe March 14th, that is the annual meeting where we'll be discussing the budget, doing elections for officers, things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. And then I'll make sure that you all have the other legislative breakfast dates and things like that.
Thank you so much, Trustee Townsend. And one just note to add to that, I was excited to hear that funding, there's some conversations happening around how that funding might be expanded for school social workers, counselors. So I might join that committee whenever that committee starts up. Other board comments? I'll just say, and I know I said this at the last meeting, but I just want to thank the entire board again for their support, the loss of my father-in-law and the gift to memorialize him, the words of comfort, the prayers, the support, not just from the board, but the entire district, Dr. Zachary Ross, your team. It has been greatly appreciated. So continue to keep us in your thoughts. Dr. Zachary Ross.
Thank you. I don't have many today. Just again, thank you, board. This is Board Appreciation Month, and we just truly could not have done the work. You saw the 5-year retrospective and the work we have before us, as you remind. I'm like, yeah, we did this. And they're like, no, you're just delirious. We got a lot before us. And we know that we can't do any of the work on behalf of our students without a supportive school board. So thank you for your service and your willingness to just continue to commit to our students. We will be meeting with, as I mentioned earlier, but I want to continue to re-emphasize because people, it seems like everywhere we go, they're like, basically you have money to spend, and that's what they want to meet about money versus let's work with our students right now until we got to still work. And even if we do get it, it's mostly to just take, how much are you taking away of the debt? Because we want to remind people, thank goodness we have these additional grants, because it is it won't even get us over the top. We still gonna have some debt probably left. And so we just want to make sure, not school debt, but like overall, I wish we could just save everything and we could just walk away tomorrow. And as we learn about the process, the beginning of this process on Thursday, I'm just looking forward to it. I just, again, would take people back to the legislation, because any initiatives beyond those that it's written out. We haven't even had the meeting yet, but it says once the funds are dispersed, you can start having conversations within 12 months. We haven't even had funds, we haven't had a process, but people want to meet only about spending versus let's talk about helping our students today if you want to work with us. And so I want to work today. If you want to partner with us, great. Let's do it right now. There's been people working with us all these years, and let's continue to work. Even without the funds, you can help and be our partners today. We want to celebrate right now. It looks like the date that we have set is February 29th. We have some, we think it's kind of cool, like the leap year, the 10-year kind of theme, in place, so we're checking calendars, looking, because we want to make sure, like, key folks. That's why I mentioned it to you all, if you could give Julie feedback on that date, because that's key, like we know we're not gonna get a date everyone can attend, but at least making sure
Right.
if the majority of board members can attend and, obviously, certain the administrators, and just really involve our students and our staff a part of the community of this celebration. And lastly, yes, please watch the weather. I do coordinate it with a lot of other districts and I get all the alerts. It's so cute. I get all these texts all day. Yes, we do know that Washtenaw County is having a delayed opening at 11 o'clock. We were supposed to have a meeting at 8:45, so I missed it. But I will find out and get online with them as soon as I get off here. And if not, we will be up bright and early in the morning checking, because we want to make sure it's safe. We look at not only the temperatures, because people say, is it minus 20 degrees? Well, it's that and, is that and the road conditions? Is that and how many drivers we have? I don't want them even if it's not yet 20, but if we're gonna have students outside standing and we don't have enough staff to get them there, how are our building conditions? The other day, we were on some generators, and so we weren't at full running conditions with the building. So just, we don't have somebody, it was cute today when I was at Beatty, they said, we should hire a meteorologist. I said, that would be great if we could get accuracy and know for sure when we don't see it. And we thank everybody, because we know that this time of year, living in states like Michigan is hard, because if we close in this morning, we can't close the night before. We understand that it's a challenge to scramble like that. I remember getting my kids ready, and we found out school was closed. I'm like, well, I still have to go to work if I didn't. So just understanding that, we try to really think and consider all of those things and do our best. So thank you for being flexible and working along with us. We're gonna get through winter.
It haven't been a bad winter either. We've been pretty lucky.
We've only used,
January.
well, that's all right, knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Is that everything, Dr.
Yes,
Figueroa?
thank you again.
Anything else for? Be safe. Thank you again for a good meeting. What'd you say? Oh, that's fine, that's fine. Be safe, stay warm, and we are officially